So now that we know how to figure out the area of different polygons, we're going to practice putting them on coordinate planes and seeing if you can figure out the areas from them on this. So some basic steps when you're going over how to graph points. When you're graphing on the coordinate plane, you always go right first and then up. So as we were saying in class, I think one time, the baby crawls and then it stands. You drive to the airport and then you take off. You push the ladder and then you climb up it. So whatever little way that you remember that you always go to the right first and then you go up. The x coordinate tells you how far to go right or left. We haven't done negatives yet, but a negative x coordinate will make you go to the left. And the y coordinate tells you how far to go up or down. So a negative y coordinate would have you go down. Coordinates look like this. So this would be inside parentheses. You'd have x comma y. So your x is the first telling you how far to go to the right. Your y is telling you how far to go up. Now we're going to be putting polygons on a coordinate plane, and we're going to have to figure out what their measurements are so we can figure out the area. So in order to do that, if you're trying to figure out how long something is and it's horizontal, meaning it goes like right to left, you're actually going to subtract those coordinates that would make you go right to left. Excuse me. So the coordinates that make you go right to left are your x coordinates. So you would subtract your x coordinates, and that would tell you how far something is horizontally. To find the vertical distance, so that's how far up and down, you would subtract your y coordinates, because your y coordinates are the ones that make you go up or down. So we're going to try some of these. I'm going to try to put one on here, and you could just follow along with this one. So let's say we want to graph a polygon on our coordinate plane here. So you're always starting right over here where the x and y are intersecting. So I'm going to plot the point 2, 3. So that means starting here, I'm going over 2 and up 3. I'll put a dot there. Okay. Now I'm going to go over 2, up 5. So over 2, up 5, that would be here. And then I'm going to try going over 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to connect my dots, and when I do that, I get a right triangle. Okay, oh, that was horrible, but yeah, a right triangle. So now we want to find the measurements for this right triangle. So we want to figure out the area. In order to do that, we need the base and we need the height. I deliberately drew a right triangle so we would have the base and the height that make a 90-degree angle. So if we want to figure out the height, in this case, it's pretty easy. We can just count the squares, and that would be 2. But another way of doing it is subtracting your y coordinates. So 5 minus 3 is also 2. My y coordinate was 5. My other one was 3, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So that's another way of doing it. I want to figure out what my base is. We could just count the squares, which is 3. Or another way of doing it again is subtracting your x coordinates. So in this case, it's also 5. It's 5 minus 2, which is 3. So that's another way of doing it. Now we have our area formula for a triangle. So base times height divided by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then just divide it by 2 is 3. So this would be 3 units squared. So that is putting a polygon on a coordinate plane, figuring out the measurements, and then figuring out the area. So we're going to do some more of these in a second.